And then I feature the Arundel Road Bridge, and I'll send out the cake, for instance, which was donated by Fergus and Claire at the stage for our picnic, and it was beautiful. So you'll get images of all of that, so you can see it for yourself. So now to welcome two special guests, and I'll see Monica Jo from Melbourne Airport, who'll be our speaker. Greg Bessanella, who's the President of Heritage and Planning Convener for East Melbourne Group. He hasn't come yet, maybe he'll come. Now to our tragic and sad news this past year. John Jennison, precious husband of mine of 55 years, passed away last September. Maureen Kavanagh, a very dear friend, died in January of this year. John Milburn had passed in October of last year. They're all devoted members of the Society and great contributors to all the workings of our group. We have gone on as they would have wanted us to do, Anzac Day being one of those special celebrations we always partake in for Keilor Village. And what I've got here is recently, and I was just down the village and a woman stopped me. I had no idea who she was, and she wanted to thank me. And she said how wonderful it had been. She'd gone with her family to Anzac Day, and she thought it was very special to have seen it all and taken part. So to all the committee members, Les, Susan, John, Aaron, to others who've taken part in whatever way they could. The walk we organised for Newton College students warranted asking a couple of helpers so that we could escort over 100 students on the Heritage Walk. There are many items of research and documentation that we are alerted to. One of those I mentioned is from the Public Record of Victoria. It was about the activism of the Record Office of Victoria. It was about the activism in the goldfields, Chinese petitions of perspective. This was one activity we were invited to take part in. The elm treatment by Melbourne Water was something else we took part in. I can explain that at length, but about this matter, but we've talked about it at the meeting, so it's all recorded. Harriet's maintenance work is going on currently, painting of the exterior, for instance. Aaron has suggested we might have a meeting there and undertake some cleaning of the cottage as well. Friends of the Black Powder Mill is now transferred to the care of Sunshine District Historical Society, and the records have now been lodged with that organisation. I had been involved with that group for a number of years. An end of the year breakup was organised at the Keilor Hotel for dinner. Members were told in the mail, "Thank you all for your passion, hard work and dedication. Upon reflection, we have achieved quite a great deal together." During the course of the year, we had to deal with the planning scheme amendment C225 BRIM. In our correspondence, it was said that the Keilor Historical Society would like to emphasise that the protocol be emphasised and followed that guarantees the protection of the heritage values and properties in this region. Specifically, anywhere in Keilor is vital to understand the importance of the history of the area and then protect it from being disengaged into a planning policy framework that ignores what was here and what has been collected for developers, owners and three levels of government to respect. We ask you to respect the regional content in any planning documents. We had input into the airport rail link. Sorry, Monica. Well, actually it's not a sorry, because it's a contribution and it was about the bridge, the Heritage Bridge. There was the Scottish Festival and Market held at Newton Castle on the 25th to 27th of November, which we took part in. We held the Heritage Sites in Keilor Day on Sunday the 16th of April 2023. This included promoting a visit to Newton Castle, open gardens and then Harriet Cottage and Feast Hut, followed by afternoon tea, watching a video of Market Garden family from Keilor. The Netflix group took part in the event as well. The weather wasn't too kind to us that weekend, but all took part. Thanks to the volunteers and works by Fred to coordinate it all, the opening of the police car had taken part in 2021. And I've said here, Greenbank City Council was successful in receiving a grant of $200,000 from the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, 2019 Living Heritage Grants Program, and together with funding from the Council, have now successfully completed the reconstruction and conservation of this heritage listed prefabricated building. The Keilor Police Hut is a prefabricated building designed to be movable structure and was used to provide a presence for the police in the Keilor region during the gold rush era. I talked to two people from the Commonwealth Bank today, which they took a picture and everything, and I tried to sum up a couple of things and said, you know, this was the way that people walked to the goldfield. And then the woman who's manager at the bank, she said, I didn't know there were goldfields here. And it's not what I said, dear. But anyway, and she was still interested in history. This is another monumental part of our heritage works in the region. We are working on a panel will be erected in Arundel Road to mark the work of David Milburn. This will be a very important marker related to the contribution of the very early pioneers acknowledging his work to irrigation, the work of the market gardeners. Richard has been one of our speakers at our meetings, and the talk was addressed to artificial intelligence. Unleashing Silicon Wizards, Brains versus Bytes, was tackled as an epic showdown. We all went away puzzled, but we had plenty to think about. The floods that took part last year did a great deal of damage, and the work still has to be done on Arundel Road Bridge restoration. We live in hope. I was honoured to receive the History Council of Victoria Award. The Executive Officer, Alicia Chiretto, said the judges particularly wanted me to convey to you that they admire your commitment over many decades and encourages you to consider applying for a Lifetime Achievement Award with an organisation such as AGM. History doesn't stand still in what we have so much more to learn about, write about and share with others. We have come a long way, but there is a constant need to promote and encourage others to learn, read the history of the Keilor region. I thank you for your attention. Like I said, you'll get a lot of the images and certainly the report from me in our emails. All right, I'll conclude there at that point and ask the Treasurer to give the report.
Thank you, Susan. Just going to sit here. I just want to start off by saying, welcome everyone. I just want to start off by saying that the first thing I'm doing tonight is collecting fees. If I can just get you to turn to page 2 of that handout I've just given you. I just want to go through the structure because we've made a slight change to the fees. You can see that the family amount is still $45. The one that we've changed is the single. Now we've dropped that from 30 to 20, hoping that that'll entice more members, which we're after. The corporate amount is still $50. We have our live members who we don't charge, and we also have a student membership for $10. So hopefully we get some of the younger people join our society. All right. Well, look, if we go back to the front page, you can see that if we look at the income, I guess the primary source of income has been the grant from the council, the $5,000. Membership fees, we nearly got to $1,000, so that's $955. Sales of books and other bits and pieces was $200 odd, and there was some donations there as well. Most of the expenses for the year was around the Harricks Open Day, and you can see that the tent people charged us nearly $2,000, and that also included the installation, the removal, and we also had a coffee van there, which cost us $400. And the other big items was printing, which was nearly $600. And there's a further invoice there for about $700, which will show up in the new year. For some reason they were late providing the invoice. And the other item of note there is insurance, which is about $440 odd. So that gives us a total expenditure amount of just over $4,000. So our operating surplus for the year was $2,600. And with our opening bank balance at the start of the year, which was $5,367, when we include the profit for the year, our current bank balance sits at just under $8,000. So it's been a fairly good year for us. And if anyone wants to have a look at the bank statement to view that current balance, I've got that with me, so I can show you.
Chairman's just asking for a digital copy of it when you hand it out.
We can do that with the minutes.
They'll get that in the minutes,
Yeah.
that's normal.
All right, so that just about covers everything I really wanted to say. Is there anything there? It's pretty straightforward in terms of our expenditure and income, but if there's anything that you want to more information on, I'm happy to go through that with you at the end of the meeting, and we can go into more details on what sits behind some of these figures.
Just a question, with the consumer affair fees, it was $191.10. That was for the new constitution, wasn't it?
Yes,
So that was just a one-off payment.
just a one-off.
Yeah.
I don't seem to give out the open day for the police station. That was not last November, was it? Or year out, isn't it?
It went through the last set of fees.
Yeah, that was the previous year.
That was the previous year,
Yeah.
All right, Susan. I
Any other
think
questions of people attending? Because, sorry?
If there's anything tonight, yeah.
Yes, tonight. Because we will conclude the AGM and then we're going to vacate our chairs and then we'll ask for the election and Bev is going to be the returning officer.
thank you, Susan.
Bev's going to go.
Well, I have the pleasant duty tonight of reading out to you the nomination forms, which have all been properly signed and seconded. And tonight's going to be a little bit different. Our president nomination tonight is Aaron, who is nominated and has been accepted as our new president. First Vice President, Susan has been nominated and has accepted to take on the position of First Vice President. So welcome Susan to that role. The next one is the Second Vice President, and Susan has accepted that nomination and been seconded. So welcome Susan to the Second Vice President position. The the Secretary has been accepted by Richard Wybrow, and we're very happy, Richard, that you've been nominated and you've accepted to be our new Secretary. And the Treasurer is John. You've been nominated again and you've accepted, so thank you for taking on that role as our Treasurer. I shouldn't take up too much time, but as a person who's been with the Society since we formed it, Susan and I met down the street one day, and Susan was, this is back in 1989, I think, Susan, if I'm not wrong. Susan was very anxious that she wanted to track down where the Keilor lake books had gone, and my husband and I, John, wanted to do a Keilor spoon. I've actually bought the set of 6 spoons that John and I actually organised. I'll show them to you if you haven't seen them. So Susan and I made an appointment and we went up to Keilor Council and we met John Scott, who was the Public Relations Manager at the time. And John helped us go through all the processes of stepping up, speaking to the past society, making sure everything was right with them. And then we set off, and the Keilor Historical Society, as we know it today, started in early 1990, I think, or 91, around about that time. So I'm particularly thrilled, and I'm a bit emotional about it, but I'm particularly thrilled that Susan's work in particular, she's been an absolute warrior in Keilor for history, and she has led us brilliantly over many years. And then I look at Harrick's, and that was an absolute dump we went to on. It was full of hay and horses, and we look at other things that we've helped resurrect, all the panels that we've put around the village, the fundraising we used to have. We had many a fundraising here, Les, didn't we? Dances and all sorts of things, dinners down at the Keilor pub, because all those panels cost about $3,000 at the time. They were a lot of money, and we've got 17 or 23 now, and they're there for everybody to see, and they will be there for everybody to see. And I just think that the work we started off in those beginning years, it's wonderful that Damon and Richard and John and Susan, your expertise and knowledge as a Vice President will be invaluable to the new team. It's wonderful that our work's been vindicated and that people have been very happy to carry it on, and do wish you well in the future. It might take a slightly different course, we don't know, but thank you for keeping on the good work that Susan has so heroically continued to do. Well, I won't bore you anymore, but that's what I just wanted to say.
Well said.
Would you like to continue, Susan?
Oh, well, it's over to you, but we can ask our speaker, Monica, to come up if you like.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica.
Because, and Monica, you're not going to go away without anything. That's the usual thing. I've got a whole range of books and things that you can take back with you, because what you can introduce what it is, but gathering history about Keilor and such. I've got some of our publications and things that you can take and get some extracts from.
Right. I'll give them back.
No, they're yours.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about a new visitor centre that we're doing at Melbourne Airport. But before I do, and I appreciate that you apologise for that bit before, but even though I work for Melbourne Airport, my background is in industrial heritage, and so I fully understand the importance of history and preserving it. So I support everything that you do, and I think it's fantastic. And that's one of the reasons why we've come to you, because we're going to build. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I just want to make sure we can see you. And
I'm probably standing right in front of the thing.
okay.
Is that okay? Okay, I won't move very much.
No, you can move as much as you like.
Okay. Yeah, so we at the airport are going to build a new visitor centre, and so I've come today to seek your advice about some of the things that we need to include. But before I do, I'll just go back a step. The visitor centre is a new thing for Melbourne Airport. I remember when I was young, I used to live in Avondale Heights, and we used to do little excursions to the airport as a family and just go on the viewing deck and have cups of tea and whatever else. And so we've been trying to not entirely bring that back, because that's probably not going to work nowadays, but to bring something back. And so this visitor centre is going to be doing that. The location, we still are unclear. We did start off with the one location, which is the current viewing area at the top of Sunbury Road. And then we've kind of gone across the road now, you know, the roundabout there on Sunbury Road. If you're coming up to the roundabout, coming away from the airport, it's on the left. There's a piece of land on the left. And we're also looking at that piece of land, which we think might be better for the flow of traffic because the roundabout is there and it's a little bit easier. So we're looking at 2 locations, and our architect is looking at the constraints of both sites, because not only do we need access for the road, but what kind of a building can we build? And for us, we need a building that will have at least 2 rooms, one that we can run our schools program in that we're developing at the moment, and the other one is to be more of a public space so that anyone can come in any time. So we may have a school group in there learning about the heritage of the area in one room, but we also want to have another room so that people can come in at their own leisure. So we definitely need 2 rooms. We want a bit of a space, a kitchen for catering, so that we can have functions there as well in the 2 rooms. We want to have a viewing area, so we're thinking that we might build a mound so that 24 hours a day people can go and view aeroplanes. Because the visitor centre itself will be closed outside of business hours. So inside the centre, some of the things that we're looking to do, we've got the schools program. We also want to talk about the Aboriginal heritage of the area. We want to talk about the European heritage, as well as the airport heritage. So there are 3 specific areas. I went to, where did I go? Sydenham Park the other week, and there was an Auntie Julianne who came and did the Welcome to Country, and she had a most fantastic speech. I don't know, it might have gone for 15 minutes, but it was about the Aboriginal history of the area, and it was one of the best things I'd ever heard. So I think for the Aboriginal history, I'll start with Auntie Julianne. She seems to have it written already. The airport's heritage, we're looking at different things that we do have. We also have a master's student in architecture. He's come to us with a bit of history about the jet base, not the jet base, the what's that other base called? Anyway, part of the airport. He has a bit of history that we were unaware of, so we're doing a little bit of work with him. But so really I've come today to get some understanding on what kind of history we need to include about Keilor and around the airport, and if you do have any history on the airport itself. I know that's a big question. I did hear you just say though about the 23 panels around the village, and I haven't seen them, but I'm wondering whether that's a starting point or whether you have some other ideas. And so I'm here to take notes about what you think we need to consider in our new visitor centre that will talk about the history of the area. Any?
My old PhD supervisor another PhD thesis about, I think, the building of Melbourne Airport itself.
Oh, who was that?
Through Melbourne Uni. I can get the name for you if you like.
That would be really good.
Yeah. So I'll reach out to him and shoot it through to you.
Okay, thank you.
We've got about 3 boxes of archive material to do related to Melbourne.
Oh, have you? Wow.
Are you going to have anything to do with any coverage of the Astro building that's been pulled down just now?
That's the master's student. That's his special area. He's looking at the Astro building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Astrojet.
Yeah.
Can I ask, why aren't you building it in the airport?
It's about allowing the public ease to get to it. If we put it in the airport, then they've got to park and they've got to pay for parking, and that's not really a good thing. We want it really accessible with no charges to anybody.
Because I mean, the people coming through who are going to travel around Victoria, they would see all these things and that, you know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the panels are part of the Keilor Historical Walk,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very nice way to show people around the Keilor area, if they can take the distance, because it's a fair walk.
Yeah.
But to me, why just add on to what we've already got?
There might be something we can do online, because somebody else said, or another group of people said, why don't we, on the Melbourne Airport website, have something up there around education and interpretation that then links to other areas. So, for example, we would have maybe a short paragraph about over Newton Castle and then a link to your website so that people can find further information. So perhaps there's a way of linking the 23 panels to our website so that people can have a look. And the idea behind adding it to the Melbourne Airport website is for those people that like to plan before they arrive. And particularly if you've got, 5 or 6 hour layover and you're thinking, what can I do? And so we thought that would be really good to create a space on the website for that education and interpretation of the area. But I'm wondering too, has any filming been done of the 23 panels?
Has there been?
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Have they been filmed?
Yeah, but it's a long time ago. But
Okay.
people go up and look at them with their cameras all the time.
It's actually a walk. You walk around them. Yeah.
I'm wondering whether we can film them.
Yeah, we can make a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a virtual kind of tour or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Good idea.
a connection from Keilor to the airport. The Keilor Hotel, I'm not sure if they still do it, but they have in the past organised buses to and from the airport, people to stay there.
Oh, did they?
Well, they did. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether that still happens, but that happened in the past.
Does it still exist, Keilor
The
Hotel?
hotel's there, but I haven't spoken to the owners for a long time, but there used to be a connection with the airport, with the Keilor Hotel.
So they would...
Well, people would go and stay there, and then they would take them out in a bus, little mini bus, out to catch their flights.
But they didn't do any tours?
Oh, no, this was just a service, but Keilor was attached through that.
Yeah, okay.
But whether that still happens, you'd have to check that. I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
No, well, it may have not happened for a few years now.
Yeah. Keilor Motel, do you know who runs it? Who the owner is?
We've got it, but I'd have to
Yeah,
email it to you.
Yeah, okay. So going back to those panels and filming them, is that a big job?
Oh, yeah. But it can be done over time. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if Melbourne Airport can help somehow.
We will accept that.
Yes.
offer.
Yeah, I know you will. I'll have to go back and talk to them.
The difficulty depends on ability, so we could probably work it out, but yeah.
Would it be possible for, if we could organise a cameraman, would it be possible for someone to do the walk with him?
Well, actually, camera works pretty easy. It's the editing.
He would do that too,
That's great.
the person I have in mind.
Okay, sure. That'd be great.
But would someone be able to walk around with
Yes,
him?
definitely we can do that.
Okay.
We can put that on our website as well.
Yeah.
Sorry?
We can put that on our website as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Goes both ways.
Yeah.
And our website's nowhere near ready for any of this, but we can still start it.
Mm.
Okay. So then going back to the original question about how would we go about gathering those? Or do we go back to the 23 panels because they've already captured the highlights?
Well, it depends on where your marker is, what time zone.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to Charles Grimes, 1803, and work from there?
You need to tell me.
Yeah, well, that's one of them.
Is
Yeah, I
there a
think
panel that...
you've got your prehistory and then you've got your Grimes, more the modern history. But yeah, Grimes is probably a good place to start.
Charles Grimes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was, what was that? 1803.
1803, but we started with the Warrantry panel within Brimbank Park as well.
That's the overview.
Would somebody be able to show me the panels? If you have, how long will it take?
Have you done that?
I've seen the panel in Bringbank Park, but I haven't actually walked to that one. But I know that
This
I've
one
seen
at
it
the
regularly.
cemetery, the cemetery,
that's on the
around
cemetery.
St Augustine's.
Yeah, it used to be a lot easier to walk before roads and freeways got
Like you could walk
sort of
the
cut
village.
Keilor. So
Yeah, the
Drive.
village,
Yeah.
most of them are, and then you've got ones on the
You just
out-
drive
yes.
down, you like.
Are they listed somewhere? Is there a map?
we've got a book with all the panels.
I've
Yeah.
got the brochure in
Yeah.
there.
Oh, in the pile?
The
Oh,
village brochure.
okay, I'll find it then.
Yeah.
That's in that pile.
But if we're gonna break it up into the key moments. You've got your Indigenous history, and then you've got your colonial history, your gold rush history, and then the more recent sort of market garden. There's obviously lots of state significant, like Arundel Bridge is a place of state significance over Newcastle. So there's places that are significant.
Hotels and-
Yeah, where often they're the only examples of whatever it is in the state. Yeah, and then there's the more modern stuff.
But I think there's at least this before that, the geology of this area, because it's the third largest lava plain in the world.
Oh,
And
Wow.
it starts on the other side of Melbourne and goes all the way to Mount Gambier. And so it's historical in that part. And then you've got the stone things up the road there.
You've got the organ pipes.
All the pipes, that's it, all the pipes.
they're part of the geology, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would, I mean, that's where.
I think I've done that.
No, you didn't do that.
I think
We're
that's
running
where
out of time.
you
I'm just
start.
going to restart it.
Sorry, Les.
I said that's where you should start, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The geology.
If we're going in chronological order, yeah.
Okay. So geology, Indigenous, colonial, gold rush, market gardens. That's essentially it. Okay. You know that you know that I will come back to you for information about those areas. Okay. And so I'll have a look at the 23 panels. But do those 23 panels cover all those areas?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
The panels. When did the panels get put in?
In the 90s.
Yeah, and there's lots of different angles you can take. There's some great moments of women's history in the area of Keilor. There's
And
some
we wrote
great.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've done quite a broad scope of work. There's also quite a lot of work if you're going to hone in at all on the railway line, for instance, to the airport. There's a lot of history in this area for like proposed railway lines, so you can kind of draw on that.
That'd be such a good little piece, that one.
Yeah, and that goes right back to sort of the 1870s. That was what my PhD was on. So,
Oh, really?
So you've got, there's definitely a lot, depending on the scope of work that you want to do, we've got it, and then obviously there's archival material that can support it as well. So
Okay.
yeah,
So your PhD was on the rail lines?
thanks to my children, I didn't finish it, but one day when I do, yes,
The rail line.
it's called the Octopus Act. It was from the 1880s where Victoria was expanding their railway network, but the Keilor railway line was proposed around that time,
Around what time?
the 1800s, early 1800s, and it follows roughly the route of what the current airport line would. So
And we've got a
Amazing.
map of it.
we've got a map of it, yeah. So like Miliara Estate, where Burley Griffin designed that. So it's all kind of related from that
Gosh.
1880s period all the way through about the 1930s.
Okay.
Burley Griffin.
So Burley Griffin, yeah, he planned a bunch of suburbs in Australia, and Miliara Estate was one of them. So where the Miliara Mall is all of that to the backs onto the railway line is all part of it. So we've got those maps as well of the housing estates that were proposed, and they used the railway line to
Wow.
to sell it, which never got built. And then the Albion to Jacana railway line was the first phase of what they then proposed in the 1920s, and then the Depression stopped that. So yeah, this is all. So there's so many different ways you can take it,
Yeah,
and it
okay.
talks to the Keilor Shire at the time were
Yeah.
very heavily involved in that.
Okay. I might come back to you about that for Because we want the rail line, it's the government that's...
And all that's in the public records office. So,
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
I might
can
come
put-
back to you about
yeah,
that. Thank you.
100%.
Well, I think that's pretty much it then, isn't it? The geology, Indigenous, colonial, gold rush, market gardens.
And it links, like Aaron said, we've had separate exhibitions and such as the women of Keilor and all those sort of things. And then we go into First World War, Second World War, nurses, anything. And it's all related to, because we get asked in the past to do with naming of streets and all that
Okay.
as well.
And also,
The Keilor cenotaph all saved from being moved.
Okay.
There's another big one.
and also the Avenue. Have you got? Did you include Avenue?
I think there is a section on that.
Where would Over Newton fit? Colonial?
Yeah.
This part was built in New South Wales, Victoria, but that room over there was built in the
New South Wales.
New South Wales.
And they brought it here, obviously.
No,
No, it was
Oh.
here. It was New South Wales.
Sorry?
it used to be the Fort Phillip district of New South Wales.
Before Victoria was
Victoria.
separated from New South Wales.
So
Yeah.
that's part of New South Wales.
And this was built on
And this is
after
built in
when it
Victoria.
became Victoria.
Oh, so,
Oh,
so
wow.
the border was right through the middle.
So Victoria was declared in
1851.
1851, so that was built before 1851.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a good story.
It is, but people don't understand. because
No.
they didn't know
It took me a while to get to click as well. It took me a while to click.
Everyone just thinks
Yeah.
Victoria's always been Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realise New South Wales came this far.
It was all part of New South Wales, the whole of
There you go.
Australia.
So, how then, and all of this still needs to be developed, but in those 5 areas, I will need to come back to you and say, you know, what are the key highlights in each of those 5 areas? And maybe, you know, have a think about that. Because we don't have a huge amount of space, but we do have scope to use our website and link it to all the different little facets around Keilor. That's not a problem. But then need to also think about what are the highlights to put into the visitor centre as a starting point. That's kind of the starting point, and then it links off to other areas. So, you know, I'm happy to come back at another meeting, and or if you want to give me 3 or 4 highlights in each of those areas and then send them to me, I really don't mind. I'm happy to come back and take notes. But you can have a think about that and then let me know, maybe through you, Susan.
Well, the bridges at Keilor go through wooden construction, bluestone and cement, and then cement. There's a series of bridges across the Maribyrnong, and that gives the history of bridge building in Australia.
Oh, wow.
And we've done that through our exhibitions, in that we've had an exhibition every year. And we have a booklet with them. So
Okay.
it's quite separate to the films.
Is that also in...
Or some of them, yeah.
All right, there's a lot.
Is there scope, if you've got the 2 rooms, right, so one for school, one for like a general visitor centre, is there the scope for like a smaller exhibition space where you could like switch out some of the material periodically?
Do you have an office somewhere?
Yeah, we have a studio.
Where's that?
Keilor Hub.
Oh, yeah. And you don't have a space there to do rotating exhibitions?
Oh, we do, yeah. We in the foyer of the library.
Oh, no, I've done that now.
That's what they're still there, aren't they?
Yeah, that's still there. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all good. Well, not for us to do it. I mean, like for the visitor centre, if you wanted to rotate
That's right.
material, you could probably look. We could contribute. I'm sure other historical societies in the area could contribute. But if, like, even what we just shared, we probably shared a lot of material that other organisations may do the same. If you can't have it all in your permanent sort of exhibit, you might be able to rotate. Like for instance, the railway stuff, you might not want to have that there all the time, but you might want to put that in for a quarter, or you know, other societies might want to. It might give you material where it's the same.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, we don't know how everything looks yet. And that's the point of coming to see what you think and how we can incorporate different things. But that's a possibility, I think. Yeah.
And when did you say it was going to be proposed to be?
So, do you know the viewing area on
Yeah.
Sunbury Road?
On the way out, and then there's a road off. You got the Buller Road that goes out to Buller, and there's also one that goes on the right angles where the planes come in, where there's a big bus.
Yeah. So that was the initial site. We thought we would build something there, but there's space restrictions. And so then someone said, well, what about across the road? And so it's kind of on a diagonal from that bus
Where
area.
the church was.
No, the other way.
The church is still there, by the way, and it's already been shifted once.
I don't mean the one closest to Buller, I mean the one there used to be on the closer side to Melbourne.
Yeah.
On
And it's
it-
St Anne's.
Yeah.
I
On
know
it-
about the archives.
Was it on airport land?
It was, well, no, it wasn't. It was on church land, but it was under the flight path, so they got it shifted.
Further up the road.
So where
You know
was
where
it?
your solar panels are now?
Ah, in there.
To the left of
Okay.
it. But they do not use the church, but it's been preserved.
Okay. No, this is... So if you're coming up, and I'm not very good with road names, but you're driving up to the viewing area,